have an iPhone 4S. That's like the most recent one with the Siri. Does anyone here have an iPhone? Don't? Okay, well, most of us know what Siri is already, right? Either it be from commercials or from friends who have it, or from the Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you guys saw that there was like a whole Siri episode. Yeah. So, but for those of you who don't know, Apple, according to Apple.com, Siri is the intelligent personal assistant that helps you get things done just by asking. It allows you to use your voice to send messages, schedule meetings, place phone calls, and more. Siri uses the processing power of the dual-core A5 chip in iPhone 4S, and it uses 3G and Wi-Fi networks to communicate rapidly with Apple's data centers. Have you guys seen the Rock God Apple commercial? It ends with a teenage boy asking, Siri to call him Rock God. It's a little cheesy, but so basically he asks Siri, I want to learn how to play the guitar, and it shows different, musical instrument stores nearby, and it asks, how do you play, I think, London Calling and Whole Lotta Love, and how do I play a B minor ninth? And then he asks Siri to text his friends that the band's meeting in the garage tonight, and basically it shows his progression into becoming a skilled guitar player. And so this is basically a little background on Siri, and the conflict at hand here is that a New York resident, Frank M. Fazio, on March 6, 2012, he filed a class action suit against Apple Inc., and he was basically saying that Apple's display of Siri on advertisements are unlawful, and that they don't properly display how Siri really works, and that Siri works slower and doesn't perform as well. According to the LA Times, Fazio asserts that the iPhone 4S advertisements putting Siri are fundamentally and designedly false and misleading. And as stated in the case file, which the LA Times made available online, Fazio also asserts that the Siri transactions depicted in its television commercials are fiction, and that actual consumers using actual iPhone 4Ss cannot reasonably expect Siri to perform the task performed in Apple's commercials. Personally, I feel it's a little exaggerated, and that he goes as far as to say that in purchasing his iPhone 4S, that plaintiff, which is Fazio, so basically the people filing against Apple are the plaintiff, and then Apple would be the defendant. Just as in purchasing his iPhone 4S, the plaintiff was exposed to Apple's representations regarding the Siri feature, and that the plaintiff would not have paid the price he paid for the iPhone 4S if he had seen these representations. And so he's basically saying that Apple is unlawful in their advertisements, and that he believes he deserves a compensation for it. So my proposition is that Apple's iPhone 4S advertisements of the Siri feature are lawful, and that they do not deceive iPhone 4S users. And I actually have 4 claims to support it. My first one is that the iPhone 4S advertisements included a sequences shortened disclaimer on the advertisement. My second claim is that the Siri feature is in its beta phase. My third claim is that the iPhone 4S users have reported high customer satisfaction ratings, so his claim would be untrue. And that my fourth claim is that the Apple's iPhone 4S commercials are as lawful, and if not more, than the majority of advertisements present today. So my first claim that the iPhone advertisements included a sequences shortened disclaimer that was basically at the end of the commercial. It said that the process it showed of Siri, doing these tasks, that the footage was shortened to be able to show the different things that Siri was able to do. Also, to counter his claim that Siri doesn't perform as quickly as Apple claims, Apple was saying on Apple.com that the Siri feature relies on Wi-Fi connection. Thus, his claim that Siri wasn't working as quickly as Apple said it could, that it could also be based on your network. So AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint, it could rely on their internet connection. So that's not necessarily a fault against Apple. And also, Apple also includes on its website that Siri improves the more you use the feature. Thus, Siri is a growing, developing product that relies on the owner's usage to develop voice recognition and learn the common functions, searches, and applications of each individual to better understand each user's commands to Siri. My second claim that the Siri feature is in its beta phase is a huge supporting factor for Apple, because basically being in the beta phase, according to TechTunes.com, means that it's in the phase of development in a software release cycle in which the software is tested for bugs, crashes, errors, inconsistencies, and any other problems. The beta versions of software used to be made available only to developers. They are now sometimes made available for the general public to test, which is basically what Apple is doing here. So because of this, it basically is telling the iPhone users that Siri is a work in progress and that you shouldn't expect it to be perfect. So it makes sense that there might be any blunders that are available or that are existing. My third one is that iPhone 4S users have reported high customer satisfaction ratings for the Siri feature. So because he's saying it's a class action suit, he's saying that there's other people that are also dissatisfied with Siri. And I have evidence here by the 451 research group. And according to a survey they had of new iPhone 4S users, 77% of the people that participated were very satisfied with the new phone. 19% were somewhat satisfied, and only 1% were somewhat unsatisfied, and 1% very unsatisfied. So you can see there's a huge difference there. And also, of the 77% that were very satisfied and 19% that were somewhat satisfied, those numbers had jumped from the iPhone 4, which did not have Siri. So basically, it jumped by 5% and by 2% from that. And then another survey showed that the Siri feature was ranked first of the most liked features on the 4S by its users. My last claim that Apple's iPhone 4S commercials are as lawful, if not more, than the majority of advertisements allowed and present today. This was basically showing that a lot of advertisements, especially like Axe commercials, who claim that if you use their product, you know, these attractive girls will just come after you, and they don't have any disclaimers on their advertising, but we know that that's not true. But Apple does provide disclaimers and warning their users and not trying to deceive anyone. And they're saying, you know, they're putting out the information and they're saying that, you know, this might not be perfect and this is not exactly how it is. And other advertisements such as special case cereal that says, you know, you'll lose weight, or you'll play light that says you'll lose weight from using that. And, you know, they don't have any disclaimers on there, and people aren't really bringing lawsuits against them. And I feel that Apple is being targeted because the company is so wealthy and continuing to expand. And according to Forbes.com, Apple's market cap as of April 2nd, 2012 was about $573 billion. That the company added $400 billion just from 2008. So I feel that is another reason that Fozzie was bringing this case, and not because it is unlawful. So in conclusion, the iPhone 4S is a remarkable product, and that it has continued to sell and receive approval from its users. So if any minor blunders exist, I feel that it's insignificant and allowable and unsurprising to its users, based on the fact that everyone is satisfied, or mostly everyone is satisfied, and that it is a beta product. So as agonizing as it may be to watch a company like Apple flourish and succeed, I don't think that Apple is in any wrongdoing, and it's not committing any unlawful or deceptive advertisements.
All right, well, it's 8.5 minutes, so you're 2.5 minutes over. It takes you 3 minutes and 10 seconds to get to your claim, so you need to get that opening section in a lot faster. You need a lot more editing so that we know what the controversy is. Once you get to the claim and set up the secondary points, the speech is relatively clear. I think you need a little bit more information on the legal issues. For instance, does the providing of a disclaimer, is the fact that it's a beta product, are those legal excuses for that will go into court? Because if somebody's making a claim and there's a question about whether or not they've made a legal tort, they've created a standard between themselves and their customer here, are there exceptions? And I think there probably are exceptions, and you're pointing those things out, but I don't have any testimony from any legal scholars, any attorneys, any judges, anybody else who's looking at this, just kind of an evaluation of some of the general claims that are being presented. All right, I've got to stop here because we've got to move on to the next people.